I remember I asked this of, I don't know if you know Real Social Dynamics, but I
Oh,
was,
RSD, yeah.
yeah. So I asked Tyler once, it was the first time I ever spoke to him. I said, okay, but aren't there some guys who are just so flat out ugly that they can't, that there's no hope for them? Like, and I've seen some guys who really just seem hideous to sort of look at. And he was absolutely vehement in his denial. He said, no way. Everybody can teach game. You give me any guy, I will be able to teach him how to pick up on girls. And look, I get his point, and I don't think it's useful to be completely defeatist, but I think that the genetic component is really, really strong. And like, this is not like a roundabout way of complimenting you, but I would imagine there would be some guys who look at you and see that you're having success on the internet with women and go, yeah, but this guy is tall and good looking. Like, I can't learn anything from this dude. Like, I need to find some guy who's as ugly as me. And when I see that guy killing it in the field, then I'll believe it. But while this guy's having success and he tells me it's all about technique or, these whatever tips that he's got, I'm not going to believe it. I just think it's his face. What would you say to someone who gives you that criticism?
Yeah, I think it's a very valid point because to be honest, when I was kind of standing around maybe at the age of 23, 24 in the corner of nightclubs, not getting like anywhere with girls, in my head, I was like, oh, I'm a decent looking guy. And I saw the world through my lens, obviously, because primarily, on a base evolutionary level, we do judge women primarily, initially on looks, because that's just the visceral we're drawn to. And I was assuming that women saw, the world the same. So what the hell, why aren't I getting any results, right? But I didn't kind of realize that women, factor in other things. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, I always kind of say to guys, look, do you really think if I walked into I am a decent looking guy, I'm 6'1", I'm in reasonably good shape. But if I walked into a Victoria Fashion Secret show, do you think I'm going to get laid just on looking like this? Zero chance, they're going to be going after guys, very high value guys, power, social status. I think there are a number of factors to consider. And I also think there's a difference between being good looking and looking good. I've seen guys who are facially quite ugly, but they just dress sharp as fuck and they have a certain aura and charisma to them. And women, you can just tell, are kind of like gravitate towards them. So I think you can, like a bit like we're saying, you can learn this stuff. You can definitely learn to be more magnetic. I've also seen very good looking guys, and me at the beginning, I can vouch for this, where I was getting, you get an immediate kind of way in because the woman assumes because you're good looking, you're going to have game and you're going to be really on point. You may have had this yourself because you're also a decent looking guy. But actually, if you don't have game, if this is in kind of the pre-stage of kind of learning this stuff and you suck socially, they actually hold it against you. And they almost really go out of their way to be like, this fucking knob, he's wasting my time. I had it. I was going out and getting numbers of like hot women in London when I'd learnt the day game kind of patter. But that's only a 5-10 minute conversation. And then I was going on dates with women and I was acting like a field mouse in the corner because I just didn't know what to do. I hadn't learnt the date bit yet. And then you could see these women getting visibly riled and they actually really, really didn't like it because they realised they'd almost been tricked. They thought they saw this attractive, high-value guy and actually there was nothing there behind it. It was a facade. And I think that's why learning this stuff, especially with the day game, you have to be building these other areas because if you don't have it, it's like a kind of a straw house and like a wolf takes one blow and there's nothing there. So I do think it's very easy for guys to just assume, me as a decent looking guy, oh, it's so easy for you. And yes, I'm not going to lie, like, I don't like using figures and numbers, but if you class me looks wise as a male 8, I probably could bang with not much, or could date with not much, trouble, 5s and 6s. But are these the girls that I got into this stuff for? No, these aren't the girls that I'm striving for. I think you've got to look at this on a personal level. Everyone's perspective is different. Everyone's starting point is different. And so there's no one size fits all. I think you just got to take it as where you're at and see where you want to go. So I can completely see the point, and it's one of the kind of the general things that gets thrown at me. But I can see why, especially if I'm kind of uninitiated and I'm shopping around. If I was a guy looking for coaching, I wouldn't go to me necessarily unless I kind of watched my stuff and I resonated with me as an individual, because you do want to kind of assume it is all about looks, and it is easy. If you see an absolute troglodyte picking up stunners, then you are going to be naturally drawn to that.